Hello and welcome to the second part of our exploration of Lake Como in association with Riviera Travel UK. In this episode we feature weird royal bathrooms, Formula 1 racetracks, our hotel room, our wedding anniversary pizzas, storm devastation, spooky derelict mansions and much more. Stay tuned and please don't forget to subscribe so this one-night stand can become a loving long-term relationship. Thank you. Our first excursion of this episode is quite a packed one. We had a lot to fit in a single day, but first the city of Monza. The Cathedral of St John was built in the mid-14th century and has a stunning black and white marble facade, very similar in style to many we've seen across the cities of Italy. Inside houses the Iron Crown of Lombardy, said to include one of the nails used in the crucifixion of Jesus. We didn't go inside as it was a Sunday and was holding services, socially distanced of course. We took a stroll around the city and there were many interesting and historical architectural highlights, Lions Bridge being one of the most notable, although that wasn't as pretty as normal due to the real 21st century pandemic. Ongoing roadworks. Part 2 of our Monza experience was a tour around the world-famous Formula 1 racing circuit, the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. Built in 1922, this was only the third purpose-built racing circuit in the world. The Italian Grand Prix has been held here every year since 1949, except for 1980 because it was being refurbished. We were showed around the press areas, the VIP areas and the podium, which overhangs the track. There are 3 racing tracks here and we had the opportunity to do a lap on the Grand Prix track. In the gut-wrenching, G-force intensive raw power of, well, the coach. While not exactly experiencing the kind of face-ripping thrill associated with a Formula 1 car, what did surprise us is how small and tight the chicanes were and how narrow the track was in places. It looks much bigger on the TV. Nonetheless, it was a fabulous experience and definitely the highlight of the day for us. The day was not over, however, as we returned to Monza and the Royal Villa, or as the locals call it, Villa Reale. It is surrounded by Monza Park, one of the largest enclosed parks in Europe, within which lies the racing circuit too, but much more on the park later. Because of COVID restrictions, we had a tour of some of the public rooms in a very small group, which felt like we were the only people in the whole palace. Perhaps we were. We weren't supposed to take video, only photos, and as our guide led us around we were flanked by a small, severe-looking woman who kept a very close eye on us. Was that really necessary? We weren't exactly bussed in from a local high-security prison. Anyway, I took photos, 30 of them per second, and here they are for your enjoyment. This was only a tiny part of the Royal Villa. There are over 740 rooms in total, but we saw some of the most intimate royal chambers. It would have been nice to see some of the reception rooms and a grand staircase or two, but you accept what you're offered with gladness. These are strange times. As mentioned earlier, the gardens, or Monza Park, were enormous and stretched out as far as the eye could see. It was commissioned by Napoleon's stepson during the French occupation of northern Italy. European history is just so complicated, isn't it? At 688 hectares, it's the largest walled park in Europe, and we had a pleasant sunny day to enjoy it. The following day we travelled to one of the more distant tours, the beautiful little town of Stresa on the shores of Lake Maggiore, about a 2-hour coach ride from the hotel. We were shocked to find Stresa suffering from the remnants of Storm Alex that hit the region a couple of days before. The lake was 2 metres higher than normal and at the time was rising at about 10 centimetres per hour, causing quite severe flooding. Storm waters and high winds had brought an incredible amount of driftwood down from the mountains into the lake. This thick woody mass of debris is referred to as la buzza, turning the shoreline all along the town into a thick soup of timber and rubbish. This cafe normally has a veranda out onto the lake, but as you can see here, it is almost waist deep in floodwaters with a thick crust of branches and tree trunks. It was such a sorry sight, as if the pandemic wasn't enough for these poor business owners. Lake Maggiore is the longest lake in the Italian lakes, and this pretty little town is famous for its beautiful Grand Hotel, where Ernest Hemingway visited and set part of his 1929 novel Farewell to Arms here. Surprise, surprise, the hotel was closed due to the pandemic. In fact, virtually all the hotels along the front were closed for the rest of the year, and it gave Stresa a slightly eerie feeling of a ghost town. We wandered up to the cable car, hoping to be hoisted to the top of the mountain and then ride the famous toboggans back down, but alas, even that was closed due to Storm Alex. To be fair, we weren't surprised. Taking a look around, the waters surrounding the cable car station looked like something out of a disaster movie. We stopped for a lovely lunch at one of the restaurants further into the town centre, and we were treated to some limoncello on the house. The waiters were so friendly and the food was utterly delicious. I think they were just delighted to see tourists, to be honest. A further walk around after lunch revealed some fascinating little streets and some even more fascinating derelict villas. Here's the thing, the villas here in Stresa are magnificent and probably worth a small fortune, but many are left to rot. Why? Well, apparently these handsome and valuable structures, sometimes in the best prime lakeside positions that would command millions of euros on the open market, are tied up in legal knots within Italy's convoluted land ownership system. Also, old family members have died and the benefactors simply do not have the resources to keep these outdated houses habitable. It seems nobody wants to buy them either, so many are just left to nature and a creepy end. It's such a shame. Back at the hotel room, we were greeted by a surprise bottle of champagne from Riviera Travel for our wedding anniversary. Thanks, Riviera. So we sat outside on our balcony and drunk in the view. And while we're here, let me show you around our hotel room. We actually loved this hotel room. It was spotlessly clean and bright, and lots of natural daylight pouring through those French windows overlooking the lake. Given the age of the hotel, it looks like they've been busy during the lockdown refreshing the decor. Oh, and that balcony. Oh, even though you're almost sharing it with your neighbours as there's no privacy panels, you could still sit there all day and watch the world go by. Anyway, we decided not to eat in the restaurant and go and find somewhere different for our anniversary. Most places were closed due to the pandemic though, but we ended up in this gorgeous little pizzeria called Rodrigo Restaurant a few doors down from the hotel, which has been serving hungry diners here for 100 years within its history-rich Liberty-style dining room. Not many restaurants can say they've been around for a century. We're not surprised about the longevity of this little place because the traditional brick oven-fired pizzas were about as delicious as it gets in Italy, and it was also very reasonably priced. And with the day drawing to a close, so does this episode. We hope you've enjoyed our little Italian adventure so far. Please subscribe because the final part is coming very soon. Thank you.